Because of complaints, the city today changed an ordinance on when hookah and vaping bars can operate. Our Brian Burns was in council chambers and joins us now with more. Brian.
Mackenzie, police made the case for the change, saying the smoking lounges were becoming after-hours clubs. Now, although not the only complaint, this incident at a lounge at Nile and McCardle this past July saw several hundred people in a brawl that resulted in several teens being charged with crimes, including attacking a police officer. Deputy Police Chief Billy Breedlove told council that after an evening at bars, patrons would then flock to these lounges. Now, many such lounges are located in and near neighborhoods where the traffic and other problems were prompting those complaints.
And they mainly focus from that hours from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. The businesses can become sort of after hours clubs. So when the bars close at 2 a.m., they end up going there to these locations, and then of course it causes some disturbances.
We reached out to one local lounge owner by phone who says the ordinance will drive him out of business. Another lounge owner we spoke with says the change won't affect their business as they close before 2 a.m. This was first reading for the ordinance change and is expected to pass a second reading, which could come as early as next week. Joe?
Okay, Brian, thanks.